Hello, this is Yahweh Elohim doing my Rockafellow files. For myself, I am still David Rockafellow Banneker Lohem Yahweh God Elohim. I am. This message is about curing insanity, is what I was working on in 1938 when I finished my banking system in Granite Discovery, creating essentially bank accounts for the United States of America. Me, David Rockafellow Banneker, all of me Elohim. October 1938. The protege of myself, Calvin Trice Benson Murphy, Yahweh Elohim, a Henry Ford Motors Company. This message will be very brief. It's about the I am affirmation and how to cure insanity with the I am affirmation. That has been a major problem of electromagneticism distortions, where reality is confused with hate. Elohim already created his word of hate. It's called Lohem. And that is Elohim, word of hate, Lohem. Already my name, El Yahweh, love Elohim, me, God, Elohim. My name is Yahweh. So, the I am affirmations of me, Rockafellow, with my Rockafellow files, pimp a butterfly. A pimp is a person. In the 1500s, my I am affirmation was with Christopher Columbus, who worked on my planet Plymouth for me, Yahweh Elohim, and went to all of my islands with his ships and told everyone the same thing on my planet Plymouth in the 1500s. Yahweh Elohim. Therefore, it's called the 15th century for you, and it's called 1492. That's my I am affirmation. Then in the 1500s for you, it's called Amerigo Vespucci, where I, Yahweh Elohim, started the United States. Amerigo Vespucci just spells my name, I am. And it was doing something for his princess, which is part of our I am affirmation. We eventually wrote the Bible in the 1500s, and I already had the English Bible, which is the dictionary. The English Bible is the dictionary. That's the first one in the 1500s. So then you heard when our ink dried of the 1604 English dictionary, and 7 years later with the 1611 King Bible with my name on the front of it. King, Yahweh Elohim. That I am still God Enosh, Yahweh Elohim, created the English language. And I own the 4th and 11th alphabet letter with all the Hebrew people of the earth. So it's called 411. So then I did the Maryland Toleration Act, since my name I am was in my Bible and my English dictionary. And the Maryland Toleration Act was called the Maryland Tolerance Act for some, since it's all about Jesus Christ that you would need. That the only God, El Yahweh, I created Jesus Christ as a person. I did not truly create the Hebrew people as a person. Therefore I am called Creator Elohim, me, God El Yahweh, I am. So that's the 1600s, which is called the 17th century. And then I was working on, I did Athens, Greece, Corinth, where I created the first Europeans. That was right before the Titanic disaster of October 1722, when I created my first calendar system with calendar years. Even though I was working on it, but calendar months was added. It was October 1722 when I, William Shakespeare, God Yahweh Elohim, I was working on sacred and secular communication. I did Act Scene 1 and Act Scene 2, so that no one would worship the book of Acts. And after the Titanic disaster, I started my Declaration of Independence using my Maryland Toleration Act of the 17th century. And by 1777, my ink had dried on my papal, and I had already created calligraphy pens for the newer Bibles for the Hebrew prophets that had died, writing my name, Yahweh. You are Elohim. Yes, I am. And they used the word your as a hieroglyphic. Rest in peace, excuse me. Yeah. So 1777 with my name Enosh, Yahweh Elohim, I declared my independence of the earth on planet Venus called, planet Plymouth called Venus in Heaven with my name I Am. And you have to assume the powers of the earth with my name, God El Yahweh, Creator Elohim, my 1777 Declaration of Independence, Enosh. So Buddy Bolden commanded the Lord of the, only Lord of the 1700s that was a slave owner. Buddy Bolden did time travel for me, Yahweh Elohim. Buddy Bolden's main message was Jesus Christ is in your consciousness still. And so when Buddy Bolden commanded the last slave owner of the 1700s, his name was Isaac Smith, the richest man in these United States. And it was called These United States. And then we all obeyed Buddy Bolden, who knew of people on my planet, Venus in Heaven, which is very strange to me. I was planning this planet, Venus, the planet of love, Elohim, from my book of Isaiah, the second prophet, in my Hebrew Old Testament Bible. Now I'm here. So Buddy Bolden was with King Elohim, that is David Banneker, that created the compasses and the clocks, the Jefferson clocks, and eventually David Banneker's name was put on all banks, and he created food, clothing, and shelter as King Elohim, David Banneker. That's me with myself. And we were still listening to Buddy Bolden doing time travel. So you heard of Buddy Bolden in 1877, but Buddy Bolden was dealing with ancestor history. So I put a Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, for me, God El Yahweh, who taught what Lohem meant with Elohim. That word means uncreation. And so the Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall did my song Stop in the Name of Love with my name I Am, with his name, Thurgood Marshall, of me, God El Yahweh. Hate Lohem, love Elohim, truth, I am. And so then you would hear of Harriet Truman and Ulysses S. Grant. You hear of George Jones' song called Thomas Jefferson, who was the third one that was first. And the I Am affirmation is definitely about first, second, and third person English. For the I Am affirmation, you are not the first Lohem, I am. You are not the first Yahweh, I am. And you're not the first Elohim, I am. And you're not the second Lohem, Yahweh is. And you're not the second Yahweh, God is. And you're definitely not the second Elohim, love Elohim is. So you're not the first or the second of any of those three energies of electromagneticism with my name I Am affirmations. So an affirmation of I Am is an oath where you have to be commanded to learn. And once you're commanded to learn, you agree to be taught. That's two things. You learn because you're being taught, and while you're learning, that's a third thing while you are learning. And something is teaching you, that's a fourth thing that is teaching you. All right, by the time you learned something, something taught you. All right, by the time you understand it, it's a seventh thing. So in my Bible, we tell you that Elohim creates the seventh entity of learning. It's still true. You have to at least start with 7. Elohim, 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 I am. So it's about a name then. So after I did David Banneker, Buddy Bolden sent Frederick Douglass, Augustus Washington Bailey, who was Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, for me, God El Yahweh. Then we sent George Washington Carver with agricultural, and Booker T. Washington creating colleges like Spelman College, which was spelled my name I Am with Booker T. Washington, and you heard of the Tuskegee Airmen, which was literally spelled my name I Am. Mm-hmm. Yes. Then we went to Henry Ford Motors Company in 1893, and we started creating communities with my affirmation I Am. Yeah. The Lord of Henry Ford is Jesus Christ with me, God Yahweh. So I signed the bank accounts, and we started creating communities from our concentration campuses with spelling my name I Am. Yes, I am God El Yahweh and the second creator Elohim I Am of Henry Ford Motors Company with Calvin Trites, Spencer Murphy. Yeah, who created the 4 cylinders and carburetors, and eventually created me, his protege, David Rockafellow-Banneker. All of me, Elohim. 1938, October, with the Granite Discovery banking system and Smithsonian Institute, spelling my name I am with our legislation. You would have Langston Hughes with Edgar Allan Poe, Paul Robeson, and Goldie of the Brooklyn Dodgers with Jackie Robinson. I will give you Duke Ellington to follow my name, I am, from Thurgood Marshall to Duke Ellington, which would be 100 years of time travel with the great Buddy Bolden, creator of the century. All right, so then by 1938, I, David Rockafellow-Banneker, was dealing with insanity. And I was trying to teach what insanity was not. So I sent Lord Eisenhower in 1953. Lord Eisenhower, number one, Lohem, the G-O-D is El Yahweh, El Lohem, granted discovery to computers, sending she's a bad mamma jamma with my name I am, and Lord Eisenhower. Then by 1964, after I sent Herbert Hoover for my scientific water, H2O, which is secular and not sacred, with my water, religious word in my Bible. February 2nd, 1963, my Smithsonian Institute video audio recorders recorded our messages in Echo Park, where I started a weapons stockpile for the U.S. Pentagon, February 2nd, 1963, me, Yahweh Elohim. And I also started a caller ID like this phone with automatic readout, February 2nd, 1963, me, Yahweh Elohim, in Echo Park with the Los Angeles Police Department. Yeah, and so that was the 1960s, what's called the Vietnam War. And then I did the Second Coming of Christ with A Course in Miracles from 1938, granted discovery by my video and audio recorders, manuals. I did that from Bethlehem Steel in 1975 to 1976, called with Chase Bank, with Bank of America and the Piggy Bank system, with my name I am, which is a true legislation. And what I was doing was I had to stop the Hebrew people from being slaves with my name Elohim in Genesis chapter 15, or my name God, El Yahweh, in Genesis chapter 15, claiming they was going to be slaves for 400 years with the only slave owner, ISAAC-SMITH, the richest man in these United States, the Lord of the 1700s. And I know the only slaves was in the New Testament of the Bible. They're Christians or something. So I know you wasn't in Greece, were you? Well, then I had to release them and create this planet, Venus, the planet of love, Elohim, in my own mind, Yahweh. So I could prove that they're not slaves. In Egypt, like the 10th Commandments told them that they were going to be slaves, and they're not slaves in the New Testament of my Bible. You're not slaves on my planet neither. So I did that by July 1st of 1979 to July 4th of 1979. Me, Yahweh, I moved Venus out of heaven. And that's my banking system code of May 19, 2017 of Yahweh Elohim. The movie of Jesus Christ is that I moved Venus out of heaven July 1st of 1979 to July 4th of 1979. Me, Yahweh Elohim, and moved it out of this heaven in this solar system with my Hubble telescope, with my name James right on the front of it. Thank you that I don't have any relatives. I have souls and people. So from 1980, I've been registered very well on this planet, Venus, the planet of love, Elohim. Thank you. And this is the Rockafellow Files. So it's the I am affirmation about first, second, or third. So I created the name Aurelia Cries with Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, with Lord Eisenhower and Herbert Hoover in 1955, and Lord Eisenhower in 1953, that you needed Aurelia Christ for my name I am. So her name was Miss America for me, doing my bank accounts in my banking system. Me, I am God, El Yahweh, El Lohem. Thank you. Rockafellow Files.